What are the tasks and goals of the TEDxNiendorf Fund?
So TEDxNiendorf Fund, we are 19 years old. When we started, it was almost impossible to get venture capital for tech startups. So back then, our main task was to provide equity, provide venture capital for promising tech startups. And we've been doing this now for 19 years, on average 40 investments per year, so 760. That's the main thing. Along the main task, there's other tasks, other goals that we have. We provide a significant benefit for our private investors through connections with the portfolio, with the deal flow, with our network. I think we had a very positive impact on the startup ecosystem through successes, through events, through investment managers who learned a lot and who left us and became partners in VC funds. And that's our broader task today, have a positive impact in all around portfolio industry, maybe Germany. We've been educating many companies, but also politicians about what is venture capital, what is entrepreneurship. And that's what we've done and will be doing.
And what do you think should be done to stronger promote entrepreneurship in Germany?
I think we have done a lot. I think the ecosystem matured very significantly in the last roughly 20 years. And I think today when you set up a company and it's a good idea, then the chances of having a good start are very similar to when you started in London and Israel, maybe even in the Silicon Valley. So getting started, I think, it's not perfect. It can always be improved, but I think we are on more or less on the same level with the best ecosystems in the world. What's a bit more difficult is scaling quickly on an operational level, but also especially on the financial level. So if your startup really takes off and then raising 50 million, 100 million, 500 million is possible, but I think it's much more difficult than, especially in the Silicon Valley. I think the biggest bottleneck, I think, is a huge loss. We don't see any IPOs. And we need IPOs for new companies to evolve, new independent companies. All the companies get sold. And I think the biggest bottleneck in the startup ecosystem is going public.
And what do you think is the biggest bottleneck to success for most startups?
Well, I think the biggest bottleneck for the big success is the small success. So it's not a bottleneck, but it's selling too early. So we see many, we just saw the company, it's a great company, and we realized a 4x in a few years, I think 4 years or so, or 5 years, which is a good success. The founders became millionaires, like a few million. That's great. But we sold at a 2-digit million company value, and we didn't sell at a 3-digit or 4-digit. So I think if you have a company and you feel there's a much better long-term perspective, don't sell too early, because when you sell for 20 million, you will never be able to sell for 200 million or 2 billion and so forth. And maybe the second bottleneck, I think almost no startup starts in the perfectly right direction. So it's always a bit off, maybe a lot off, but definitely a bit off. So the bottleneck or the key to success is to adjust the direction more or less. So it's the pivot, big adjustment is the pivot, small adjustment is the adjustment. And these adjustments, they need to be done all the time because the environment changes, technology changes, competition markets change. So you need to adjust constantly. So if you don't realize the need for a change of direction, it might be difficult.
What is the biggest blind spot for young companies?
There's many blind spots because the perspective you have as a founder with a great technology, a great idea, and a potential market is very narrow. So it's hard to see the local competition. And it's almost impossible to see the competition in India and in Asia and China and maybe in the US. So it's because they're also hidden like your startup. It's really difficult to really understand the market. So the famous product market fit, do I really match what my customers want, is difficult. Another blind spot, and I can share it from maybe our own HTGF experience, is you start as a founder and you do everything. you know everything and you do everything, and then you start to grow, and you cannot grow if you keep doing everything as a founder. You need to hire people, but you also need to implement management levels. You need to let go of certain things in order to grow. Obviously, the CEO of a large company has an important role, but very limited role, because they cannot build cars or sell cars or recruit new people, and letting things go in order to allow the companies to scale. That's difficult, and so very often a blind spot.
How can young and ambitious entrepreneurs find and pick potential mentors?
There's many universities have mentoring programs. So I'm part of the University of Mannheim mentoring program, and I'm continuously mentoring students. And I pick those with an entrepreneur aspiration. So that's a good way to find mentors. Another very good way is, of course, successful entrepreneurs. So you just knock on the door and say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Entrepreneur, I really enjoy your work. I like your style and your success. I'm about to set up a company. I have a few questions. And then when you're a little bit lucky, you start a conversation. And if you're very lucky, you continue the conversation over time. And then, of course, investors also mentoring programs. Retired investors, at some stage, they don't invest anymore. Business angels, just go for it. And you'll find someone.